Hi, and welcome to Eating Plebeian. Thanks for joining us once again. Today we are making pork ribs. We've got some baby backs, and I'm also going to run through the process of going through and making a homemade dry rub. And dry rub is something that you tend to go through quite a bit when you live here in Texas. Anyways, it's not a hard procedure at all. It does take some ingredients, but basically all it is gathering the things up and chucking them into a bowl and putting them on. So I want to show you what I've got here. And so what it begins with is a base of 2 tablespoons each of chili powder, kosher salt, and brown sugar, and 1 tablespoon each of black pepper. This is granulated onion. I've got some smoked paprika. Regular paprika is fine if that's what you've got. I prefer the smoked, especially for this application. 1 tablespoon of ground cumin and 1 tablespoon of granulated garlic. So we're going to be simply, as I said, moving along and combining all of these into one bowl, and I'll be stirring these things up. You can make minor modifications if you'd like. I know some people put in celery, ground celery seeds, some other things that can go on in. It's really not so much like baking where everything has to be precise. You can make changes, additions, deletions as you will. The only things that I kind of consider rather important to it is the chili powder, the salt, the pepper, and if I had to say anything, the cumin, probably. It just has a nice taste to it. Maybe that's just me, but so I'm getting these all put in and just getting these things all combined. So I also have, obviously, the ribs, and those ribs have been sitting patiently on my table, and I'm going to move these forward so we can see what's going on here. I didn't want it draining all over the table, as it were. And I want to remove the silverskin. Now, the silverskin is the inner membrane lining around the rib cage, and usually the pork loin would be located right here. And so this pork loin, once it's been removed, needs to move itself kind of freely, as it were, when the animal is alive. And so therefore it's rather slick and sometimes even difficult to get a hold of. And so we've got a couple of tricks that we can do. We can use the back of the knife once inserted underneath the silver skin here. And because it's not sharp, you can kind of start getting up underneath it. There's also the 2 thumb trick, which tends to work pretty well. And you see you can go all the way underneath here. Probably your best bet. And if you're having a little bit of difficulty in getting a grip on that, you can actually use some paper towels. And we just pull all the way, and our silver skin is gone. I'll probably do just a little bit of a trimming here on this little bit of a wild end. But frankly, that's all there is to it. It takes just a little bit of practice, but it's not bad. So I'm going to take that flap and get rid of most of that skin right there. I don't want to get rid of that meat, though, so I don't want to just start hacking merrily away, because I really like that stuff on that end of the rib rack. I think that's going to be good enough. Now, what we can do is we've actually got options here. We can put put our spice mix directly onto it, or we can also use a binder. Now, some people down here, they like to use mustard. They can use all sorts of things, frankly. You can also use molasses. Now, molasses is going to complement the brown sugar that's inside of our spice mix very well. And Once we get this thing going, it's simply going to go into the oven for a period of time. Now, I chose an oven preparation because of what eating plebeian actually is people that are getting started in cooking. And I'm not going to assume that everyone has a smoker. Do I have a smoker? Yes. I don't use it that terribly commonly because we have busy lives. And frankly, when you're having to go out and check on the fire and the smoker every 15 minutes, then, well, it just gets a little bit, tough. So it's not exactly a set it and forget it sort of arrangement for meal preparation. But I do have this baking rack here, and we're going to be putting it here. I've cut these in half because it just better fits inside of the baking rack for no other reason. It just makes them a little easier to handle. So what I'm going to do is take my rather decent amount of spice mix, and I'm going to rub this all in. I was thinking about putting on a glove, but okay, never mind. So we're just going to use this rather liberally. We're going to spread it all over real nice. And then we're going to put it on the baking rack. Now, the baking rack itself, the baking pan, I'm also going to put in a couple of cups of water. And that water will be in the bottom. And as the pork is cooking, it'll evaporate and it'll keep everything moist. What we are really gunning for here, though, is the breakdown of the connective tissue. And that connective tissue is what makes parts like ribs rather chewy and tough if you tried to make them like in the manner of a traditional steak. So breaking down those that connective tissue really makes it good. It makes it fall off the bone if you've done it long enough, and just makes those things that we really crave. So I'm doing the second one now. We'll get this all done. As I said, I'm not sparing anything here. I'm just going to go ahead and put it all on. Make sure to get the ends and the edges. Meanwhile, I should also state that I have got my oven going at 275 degrees. We're going to keep it there for 2.5 to 3.5 hours. And at the end of that, sometimes it can look a little pallid when it's cooked in that fashion. We're going to pull the foil away. Yes, I'm going to cover it with foil. And we are going to then use the broiler setting on the oven to give it that nice kind of crisped up bark. And that crisped up bark is, I don't know, just something so attractive to us meat eaters, especially when you're dealing with pork and beef products. You can do a brisket in the same way, by the way. So we're getting there. And there. I think that what I have here now is pretty much ready. I gotta get that end. Burnt ends and barbecue are wonderful things. Of course, I'm getting this spice mix everywhere on the counter. You'll excuse me. This is not a a pretty thing, making barbecue. Someone's going to argue with me that, it's not barbecue because I'm not using a smoker, but barbecue is actually a long, low, and slow cooking method. It doesn't indicate what sort of appliance you're using to actually cook it. So yes, you can call this barbecue very easily. So I'm going to get out my aluminum foil here. I've got some in the drawer after I wash my hands off, but I'm going to put a couple of cups of water in, and we're going to drop it on into the oven. So give me just a minute. All right, so here we are, a couple of cups of water. That's going into the bottom of the pan. Some barbecue-sized aluminum foil. And I mentioned this earlier, 275 degrees, 2.5 to 3 hours. You may want to start this a little earlier in the day. I will be checking on this occasionally and making sure that I'm not getting any hot spots or anything isn't going a little bit weird, but we will check in on it after the time is done, or if there's any corrections that need to be made, because you need to see that process. I'll see you in a little bit. And 3 or 4 minutes later, here we are. So we've got them out of the oven. They were on broil for just a couple of minutes, just to firm up the outside along the tops. And I can see how just the bones are just starting to protrude out the side, which tells me that we had these in here long enough that it is starting to break down that connective tissue. So that's what we were looking for. So I'm going to take these things off, and I'm going to throw my tongs on the ground. There we are, and we're going to slice these up. So, I mean, just this looks great. So this is exactly what I was looking for. And they cut really nicely. It's going right on through. I like those big end pieces right there. And I'm gonna set these up for us. I've got a couple of different types of barbecue sauce there in the fridge. I'll be warming those up a little bit, and we're gonna be getting ready to eat here pretty soon. But you can't deny that even though this is not over fire particularly, that these are not barbecue ribs. They just go right on through. Low, slow, and very, very happy. So just if you look real close here, if you can, we've got the moisture still just easing out. That's indicative right there of what you want in a pork rib. So we're going to be sitting down here to eat. So thanks very much for joining us here at Eating Plebeian. I hope that this recipe helps you out and at least starting to, try to get these, low and slow and barbecue style recipes kind of into your playbook, because it's a fantastic dish. It's been around for centuries, brought around by Afro-Caribbean cultures. And I tell you that when you can make this sort of thing on a weeknight, if you have time to, get it started as soon as you get home, so no mac and cheese for you, huh? All right, hit the like and subscribe buttons for me. I'd appreciate that very much. It helps me out in getting over the YouTube hurdles. Otherwise, from Eating Plebeian, I will see you later.